Good evening. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live.
Whoa, where am I? Who are you? I haven't been here for such a long time. I've forgotten who I am. Who am I?
I don't know.
Who is this crazy bastard? No, it's thank you for holding down the fort, bro. You know I love you, and for you to be able to do that was amazing. So I hope you've enjoyed all of Adam's awesome content over the last couple of weeks. Last week, as I said, I had a hernia operations after I gave birth to my child. That seems to be the only time men get hernias like this, which is a little bit unusual. So what's that saying about me? But great to be back and feeling good, feeling positive. Admittedly, haven't had a great deal of time to look at the charts when I was in bed last week, feeling sorry for myself. So this is pretty fresh to me, but not looking too unfamiliar. I've been watching your updates ads every day and over the course of the last week or so. So I have a little bit of an idea, but would love to hear your thoughts. If you do have questions, thoughts, or comments, please hit that subscribe button and follow us on YouTube and all the amazing content that Ads has been pumping out the last couple of weeks. And of course, if you have any questions, come over to the Discord or unitytradinggroup.com for all our resources and guides. Ads, what's going on with BTC? Educate me.
BTC. So I did a video update last night at around that 7 o'clock, 7:30-ish time. And just before we move on to BTC, we're going to trial. This is just going to be a trial. We're going to do our video updates in the evening around this time every night. So between Monday and Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday usually schedules for myself. And Tuesday and Thursday nights, myself and Ty. If Ty's available on those nights, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, he's going to join in, and we're going to do a little bit of a condensed version of this type of ordeal that we do on a Tuesday and Thursday. So it should be good, and we'll trial that out for a week. And if it takes off, then we'll stick to that.
Super pumped to be able to do that in the afternoons. And of course, if you like the things that we're posting and the content that we're creating, you got to let us know. If you don't know, or if you don't let us know, then we simply won't do it. So please give us all your feedback. If you like it in the afternoon, let us know. If not, we'll keep it on the DL and keep posting it in the mornings.
Moving on to BTC, what I discussed yesterday came to fruition. So we were sitting in between that 6150 Fibonacci level. And okay, cool. It's disappeared for some reason. Hang on a sec. My drawing tools have disappeared.
Perfect.
That's good. I like that. Don't know why.
Is it in that little hamburger menu?
Which hamburger menu?
The top left.
This one?
Yeah.
No.
Huh.
Drawings panel. There we go.
Hey.
All right, moving on. So now we can actually start the video. So what we discussed yesterday afternoon between the 50 and 61 was where we were sitting very nicely. And what I did expect was I was seeing this steady uptrend, from that 10.4 area, and we were sitting in between really no man's land, to be honest, when we bounced from that 10.5. I know there was a bit of support sitting on the left-hand side if we just look to the left there. So that's more than likely why we did bounce from that level. And when we have now arrived at that 6.1, rewind to yesterday, I was really thinking that we could come up to this 78.6 Fibonacci retracement level, because that's where most levels, or that's where most runs that do exceed the 38 and the 50 do decide to go. 78.6 being the last, really substantial Fibonacci level that we really look for. So that's where we've ended up at 10.8 was where I really wanted to put BTC for this short-term move to the upside to create our next lower high. Pending that 78.6, if we did get some volume into this market, I'll put the UTG volume back on. If we did get some volume, upward sweeping volume, I did say more than likely we'll probably get to that level of supply at 10.9, where we have been rejected twice now, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Just for the short term, we are seeing the sweeping downwards motion now on Steamroller, and we are seeing that on some of the indicators as well, more notably the CCI. So it's going to be interesting if we do trend now below this 61.8 Fibonacci level that we've now dropped below at 10.724. If this volume stays the way it is over the next couple of hours, into the course of this evening and tomorrow, more than likely I don't think this run will continue. I think that'll be it for BTC in my opinion.
Yeah, and this is the interesting part where we spoke about that distribution that we had up towards 12K that I feel we were validated on. Now we're at an interesting time here, whether we're still not out of this range to sort of really identify whether this is a reaccumulation zone. We're seeing, sort of lower periods of trading activity. The volume is not so much there, which you would have expect to see. You would expect to sort of see more rapid buys, perhaps around that 10.2, that 10.3 area, while that liquidity is sort of absorbed, or are we simply in a larger markdown, much larger distribution phase from that 12K? So it's an interesting time at the moment. There's not a great deal of, and listen, when you see that big that dumpage sort of there at the start of October, yes, there is volatility, but at the same time, it's kind of quiet. It's a little bit sort of slow, and this is what makes me a little bit nervous, where we have these extended periods where we don't have a great deal of sort of, noteworthy large moves, because a move from 10.9 down to 10.4, like, yeah, that's a good move, but it's only really $500 in the scheme of things. Like, it's not a massive sort of drop. Those wicks that you kind of see there, that's a little bit sort of more volatile trading activity that I'm talking about. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. We still haven't made a significant higher high from that dump that we had at that 10.9 or that 100 fib level there. So again, as we sort of said previously, that we're still, I know it sounds like, flogging a dead horse, but we're kind of still in this range. 10.25 to 10.9 is currently the established range for this sort of zone. So keeping in mind that we have sort of seen some slightly more predictable moves coming up again on those Thursday morning, Wednesday afternoons over the last couple of weeks. So I would expect in the next 24 hours or so, let's say, we might start seeing that volatility or that continued move to what I believe will be the downside that you're talking about, Ads.
Yeah, absolutely. And circling back all the way back to our inner circle days, when we used to, or Ty used to very professionally look at the news for the day, I want to have a quick look at a snippet of news that's very much in relation to this chart, and the trend that we're looking at on the macro scale is Mount Gox. Mount Gox, sorry. So we all know that this was a major talking point over the last few years, I guess, going into that bull run of into 2017, 2018. And you can read right here, between 2011 and 2013, they lost 850 BTC in the biggest bank hacking attack in Bitcoin history. The trustee reportedly has 150,000 BTs to repay users who lost their funds from the breach. The expiry date on this is October the 15th. And I haven't seen this talked about much in the space. The only reason I bring this up is because of what I said yesterday in the update, where the longs far outweighed the shorts. So in this move that we're saying that we're looking at here, the longs far outweighed the shorts. So what I mentioned is we could have a long squeeze where we drop this like a hat. We drop the hat out of this, or drop the arse out of it, and we liquidate the longs. Not only that, is that if that October 15th date is to anything to go by, we could see 150,000 Bitcoins flooded into this market at the same time. So keep that on your radar. If we do have that amount of BTC, or that substantial amount of Bitcoin come into the markets, come into the retail exchanges, that could very much cause a major downwards movement back towards that 10.3 and even towards our gap on the higher time frames. So that's going to be an interesting play, I think.
Yeah, totally worth being mindful of that.
So we know on the 15th of October, be as it may, that's US time. It'll be the Yankee time. It'll be an interesting day to keep an eye on. So for us Australians, it'll more than likely be the 16th. So
that's what's that? That's a Friday. So pairs well with that midweek volatility that we spoke about from the statistics from Cointelegraph a couple of months ago.
Yeah. So an interesting article. If you want to have a look at that, you can jump on Cointelegraph.com and you'll be able to find that article. Hasn't been a whole lot of views, and there hasn't been a whole lot of shares on it. So jump on that and have a read.
All right, USD, what's happening?
FUSD, let's go into our watch list here. So FUSD, like I do mention quite regularly, it is a sort of a little glimpse into the future of what BTC holds. And honestly, compared to what I said last night, compared from last night to tonight, nothing's really happened. We've just moved to the right-hand side. So if we draw in our Fibonacci retrace from our swing high to the swing low to get our retrace levels, we have, come very close up to that 61.8. We are, hovering around that 356.18 level that we have spoken about multiple times now in the past. We've had a lot of resistance and support there. But we just can't seem to break it. And honestly, we are turning down on some of these indicators as well. CCI most notably has broken back into the median range, that is about 90 to negative 90. So, in that mid section there. And then we're looking at RSI holding around that 50 level. If we do break below that 50 RSI level for ETH on the 4-hour time frame, I could probably expect this to come down to this 345, 347 level, and give us a decision based on that. But I don't think it's going to be in the favor of the bulls in this instance, Ty. I don't think.
Yeah, I think I probably have to agree with that. Obviously, that demand zone that you've got drawn in there is going to be significant. Sort of, seeing very similar structure on BTC at the moment. Yeah. But that 355, that 356 level has just been significant in the past in terms of rejection levels. So, if we were to look left, you can see the significance of that demand zone. And really, we need to sort of see a bit of a bounce there, or at least a bit of a hole up there. We could perhaps be just in a range again, which would be confirmed in the next couple of days, I suppose, between that 355 where you've got that sort of resistance line and that demand zone. So could be a sort of a mid-term or a short-term pickup level and play the range in the meantime. But again, this is probably looking a little bit more familiar in terms of that immediate sort of selling climax that we had on the 4-hour at that top demand, the supply zone that we had up there at that 370 range. Where this would maybe be vaguely termed as a sort of like an automatic reaction, where if we are in an accumulation zone, then having moves further back down towards where that initial selling climax was in that phase B would certainly make sense. So back down towards that 320 level, or that bottom demand zone, would not be out of the equation, I suppose, if we were in a newly established sort of accumulation range.
Plus to add to that, you can't ignore what the macro scale is doing. We haven't made any significant levels or significant market structure on the macro scale, and that's really due to this volume. Like, we haven't had any substantial increases in volume for quite some time now. Since the 25th of September, we've really been ranging, in this 372, 320 level. So in between, we've had a 50% swing, $50 swing for ETH for quite some time with pretty much zero volume. So is this gearing up for a major move in either direction? Are we going to have an explosive move out of this zone? Are we going to have a movement to the upside or the downside? We want to know what you guys think. We want to know what your thoughts are. So put that in the Discord if you can, or even put it in some of the in the YouTube chat for us to let us know.
So
I am seeing just lower highs accumulate or coming forth on Ethereum, and nothing's changed so far. Unless we can confidently come up to this 371 level, this level of supply here that we've been rejected off pretty much perfectly previously earlier this month, the 1st of October. If we don't come up and we don't retest that level again, it's not going to look good for ETH. There's a whole lot of stigma around Ethereum about the DeFi and how it's not up to the task and everything like that. We've all heard this before. We've spoken about this before. So whether or not that translates to anything on the chart in terms of price action remains to be seen. But if we don't come up and at least break past this 356 in the immediate term, I'm talking for the remainder of the week, if we don't do that, then I can probably safely say that this run that we've had over the last couple of days, since the start of this month, will come to an abrupt end. That's pretty much it.
Oof. There we go. Steamroller really showing its worth on there. FUSD as well as a really, really great indicator for picking those levels or those reversal levels.
Yeah, absolutely has, and so it should.
100%. Alts, we've been saying this for quite a long time now. I'm not really trading any alts. I know yourself and Dory, shout out to you, bro. If you are watching, had a good run on the AEDA USD pair as of late. That had a nice little run. Really great to see you guys get on top of that move and make some bank on that. In terms of the traditional alts, I'm still really playing pretty far away from that. BNB is one that I'll dabble in a little bit. FBTC, due to obviously the size of the cap of the coin, I think I really, and in Facebook last week we posted 8 things that I wish someone had told me or told us when we first started trading, and certainly being in aggressive positions on alts trying to get that moonshot trade is really reckless, particularly in an environment like this with the volatility on alts. If you are a lesser experienced trader, if you've got more experience, then sure, have a dabble, but stick to your high coin caps, FBTC, FUSD, and BTC USD. And the benefits of sticking to one or two coins, and especially the higher cap coins like BTC and ETH, is that you get to understand how you get to understand the patterns during high volatility times, certain times of the week when there's large fundamental news like the Mt. Gox thing, for example. And then you also look at the correlation between other alts versus the BTC or the USD pairs, and understand how they move in certain times as well. In Discord a couple of weeks ago, we posted a correlation chart of a lot of alts against BTC, the BTC USD pair. So educating yourself with what alts to focus on during times like this of high volatility with a lot of the alts is a great way to be. Don't go being in 10, 15 trades at a time or trying to chase the moonshots or what your favorite influencer is saying. That goes for ads and I too. But, take a lot of these alt calls and everything that you might see out there with a grain of salt and focus on these high cap USD pairs is probably a wise decision at the moment.
Absolutely, it is, because honestly, they're going to give you the best representation of what the coin's actually worth in the way of price action and market structure.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of these altcoins we know are very, very heavily influenced by the USD pairs, and they can take savage dumps or savage moves to the downside.
That's right.
With relative ease. Yeah. So that's why we say stick to USD pairs at this at times like this to really safeguard your capital, because that's the aim of the game. At the end of the day, you want to preserve capital.
Exactly right. All right, let's get into to FX, man. What's happening in the reg markets? Of course, anything that we share when it comes to Forex or these regulated markets is purely just educational on our thoughts. If you do want to seek advice on these markets, talk to your financial advisor.
Absolutely. The US dollar currency index, the DXY, has been playing into our hands very, very kindly over the last little bit. We did get caught up for a very short time at this level of demand. However, we did push through it quite confidently, and under this heading under this 61.8, retesting that level now. In the grand scale of things, this has been a pretty substantial downtrend, if you ask me, in the way that that regulated markets is concerned, especially the US dollar, because it's such a high market cap. Obviously, it's not realized how big it is, but it is. It takes into consideration pretty much all of the major pairs. So it is quite substantial. If we're talking about a 94, if we're talking about if it wants to work, there we go. We're talking a 1.44% movement on an entire, or pretty much the global reserve currency. So it is substantial, and it more than likely, in my opinion, will head down to this 92.8 level of demand down the bottom here. However, it might see a little bit of upside before that happens. So if we're looking on the 4-hour time frame, as I usually do look on the Forex pairs, we are seeing steamroller in the oversold condition now, alongside our CCI. RSI has a little bit more room to move to the downside, but we are dabbling underneath that median 50 line for the RSI. So in the way of some of our indicators and what we can expect for the US dollar, we could probably expect it to come back up to this 93.74 in the immediate term to really give us a little bit of breathing room on especially steamroller and the CCI. And more than likely, if we're going to be heading up in that direction, if we draw in that 50 median line on the RSI, we could come up to that 50, get another retest to that level, and then come back down and continue that movement down towards that 93, 92.9 level for the DXY. That's what I expect will happen over the next week or so, next 7 days, coming into this weekend and opening next week and coming into Tuesday next week. It'll probably take a little while to happen. It has been moving very slowly on that matter, but yeah, over the course of the next couple of days is probably where I would put it. If I had to put a level of supply in as well, right there, we've got a very short-term level of supply to really test, and that lines up very nicely with that 50, and we've got that liquidity line at 93.75 to test, so we could probably expect that to happen over the next couple of days. Moving on now, we'll have a look at gold. Gold and silver are running really nicely in the way of upside off the level of demand we've been speaking about last week. We did speak about this level last week on Thursday, and we are sitting at a crossroads now, and that really goes hand in hand with the oversold condition of the DXY. Because so we've got a decent run for gold off this level of demand. We are sitting at our resistance level, I guess you would call it. We're looking at that Fibonacci. What Fibonacci level is that? We're looking at the 786 trend-based fib extension tool there. And, we're sitting at a valid level of supply also. And we are trending underneath that now. If we do see that upwards sloping movement on the DXY to give that relief to some of those short-term indicators, we can see, gold come back down to roughly this area, I would think, towards that 1900 even level, to really give that dollar that relief it needs. And more than likely, if we go over to silver, we're going to be seeing the exact same pattern occur. However, we've used the we've used the Fibonacci retracement tool, and we're seeing that exact movement happen with the 50, that $24.63 level on silver. I don't trade silver. Admittedly, I don't trade silver very often. I usually stick to the DXY, Euro, Gold, and some of the major pairs. But silver trending the exact same way as gold is at the moment. But what I really want to look at is I want to look at the All Ordinaries, because we were in that downtrend over the last couple of weeks, should say, on this 4-hour time frame. We did smash through it and retest this level twice now, this level of supply. This, in my opinion, sustained upside on the index isn't what I'd be looking for. Going off our rejections as of late. So this rejection here on the 29th of September, and now we're looking at the 5th of October, 6th of October, being rejected on the exact same point. When I watch the news in the afternoon, if I do watch the news, Channel 10, Channel 9, they speak very highly of the All Ordinaries moving up a couple of percent a day, but it doesn't give you a really good representation of the actual movements of the market. We have now triple topped at this supply. So we're looking at the first top of the 16th, we're looking at the 28th, and now the 6th of October. So we are looking at a triple top event. If we don't push this level tonight, over the course of the remainder of the week, this will continue towards the downside, and we will see this 59.20 area, or 59.20 demand be tested again, and we will fall down below this trend line, although it is broken now. So just keep your hats on, just keep it nice and tight. If you're looking at investing for a long-term position on some stocks, this is not financial advice, but I'd be very interested to see what the All Ordinaries does over the course of the next 7 days, coming into the start of next week with all the uncertainty and the situation developing around the world with the recession. If I switch over to the SPX 500 USD, we haven't looked at this in quite some time, but we will draw in the levels that are most relevant now. I've used this area here. I've started here, ended there, because that'll give us a decent size zone. And then we've got the rejection, our first level of rejection at this 400 level on the SPX, which is very in line with what the ASX is doing as well for the All Ords. So I'd be very interested to see what these two do over the next few days, and what the whole Trump coronavirus ordeal really takes, what really transpires over the next week to 2 weeks on that one, and that'll really push the US markets up or down. And I'm guessing if we're looking at a level of supply, steamroller being as accurate as it has been of late, coming up to our level of overbought alongside, CCI, RSI. RSI admittedly has a little bit more room to move to the upside, but as it stands, we are looking a little bit bearish as we come up to this level of supply. So it's going to be an interesting play. That's really all I wanted to look at in the way of Forex and the regulated stuff. Not a whole lot more to look at across the board. The DXY is doing what we expect, so is gold. And the All Ords is going to be nice and interesting to look at again on Thursday night, Ty.
100%. Yeah. What you mentioned about the whole Trump thing at the moment is a very interesting situation. It'll be interesting to see how, not only what effect this has on the markets, but also on Trump's, presidential campaign chances. I think if anything, this has gained him maybe a little bit of popularity for what he was continuing to do throughout, his COVID contraction. And no doubt it'll be a pretty hot topic coming up to this next Biden-Trump debate in the next week or so. I think it is that it's going to be on. So it's very interesting. If you do have a chance to watch those debates and see how the markets react to certain things that are said, it could present some good little scalping trading opportunities, and a couple of our guys were able to capitalize on during the last debate. So it's a very interesting time for these regulated markets and everything, particularly over in the States, as we inch closer towards this presidential election vote. So yeah, very interesting time to be a part of this market.
Absolutely, it is. And in the way of the cryptocurrency space, it is still in its infancy. So everyone that's involved right now, mate, you'll be looking back at this market in 30 years' time. Trust me.
100%. You'll look back at it and laugh about how ridiculous it was or is. That's for sure. Cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's a pleasure as always. Great to be back, bro, and doing this with you. It's always fun. So we'll see you guys tomorrow for the update. And as always, follow us on Discord or follow us on on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button and get instant updates to everything that we post on a daily basis. Been very, very consistent for the last couple of weeks. And of course, unitytradinggroup.com for all those guides. Our masterclass of the month, Ichimoku for beginners, will be doing a new masterclass in the next fortnight as well. If you've got suggestions on what you'd like to see, let us know, and we'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Catch you guys. See you tomorrow.
Bye.